Here is a major update for the lift manufacturers, lift operators, facility managers, lift users, housing societies. In a nutshell, all the stakeholders revolving around the usage of lifts. Here is a major update based on the recent Supreme Court verdict in India. In a landmark ruling delivered on July 29, 2026, Otis Elevator Company India Limited versus Rashmi Handa, the Supreme Court of India established a critical legal precedent regarding lift safety, liability, and victim compensation. So, if you are in any way connected to the usage or manufacturing or the maintenance of lifts, you could be a passenger, you could be a maintenance operator for lifts, or you could be a manufacturer of lifts. You could be heading a housing society which has lifts. So, any facility manager or operations manager which involves operations of lifts, this information is critical. The first observation by the court is elevators categorized as common carriers. So strangers step into a small steel chamber, the doors close, and for a few moments they place their safety entirely in the hands of a mechanical system over which they have no control. Hence, an elevator must be construed and deemed to be a common carrier. So, an elevator will be considered as a common carrier like a bus or a car, because strangers step into a small steel chamber, the doors are closed, and for a few moments they don't have any control on it. It is all governed by external forces. Hence, the court says that the joint liability across stakeholders. The court ruled that the manufacturer, maintenance service provider, and the building owner are joint duty bearers and can all be held jointly and severally liable for any mishaps. So, if anything goes wrong, when an accident happens, the manufacturer, the maintenance service provider, and the building owner are joint duty bearers. And no blame game for victims, because sometimes it takes a lot of time to get the verdict. So the court made it very clear that no blame game for the victims. Compensation can be awarded upfront, and the liable parties can settle their respective shares later. The court emphasized that victims or their families do not need to figure out inter liabilities before claiming compensation. That is the job of the other parties involved. That is the job of the manufacturer, maintenance service provider, and the building owner. They should figure it out. At the same time, the victims should be paid the compensation upfront. Then heightened duty of care. Maintenance companies undertaking comprehensive service level agreements owe a heightened duty of care and cannot absolve themselves of liability by pointing to operational lapses or external issues, example, voltage fluctuations, if known recurring defects were left unaddressed. So, lift maintenance companies cannot anymore take things lightly. The preventive maintenance should happen on time at the required frequencies. The spare parts and the defective spare parts must be changed periodically. And if anything happens because of a known risk, then the maintenance companies undertaking the comprehensive service level agreements, they become responsible. So periodic service, preventive maintenance, corrective maintenance, the timely replacement of spare parts. And if in this case, they're saying if the voltage is fluctuating, and that is an environmental issue, if the input voltage to the lift is fluctuating, even if it is a problem with the electricity board, and if it was recurring, it is the maintenance company's job to get a stabilizer installed. Uh, and if they take it very lightly by giving a nice to do thing to the owner, and still they continue operating the lift without doing it, and if something happens at that time, the maintenance companies are liable. So they have to now periodically conduct audits and ensure that everything is safe. The case details and compensation awarded. The judgment arose from a 2003 case. You look at that, okay? The case happened in 2003, and the verdict happens in 2026 July. So almost 23 years it took. That's why the court is saying now the compensation should be paid upfront, and how it must be shared and all you discuss later. This is 23 years for the verdict. Fatal accident at the research and analysis wing, Raw Complex in New Delhi, where a senior officer was crushed due to a lift malfunction and subsequent rescue attempt. Total compensation upheld was 3.01 crore plus accrued interest awarded by the National Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission and affirmed by the Supreme Court. Appointment of liability, 70% of this 3 crore plus interest, lift manufacturer slash maintenance provider, that is Otis Elevator Company, must pay. 25% maintenance and infrastructure agency, military engineering services, MES, should pay. And 5% premises owner slash occupant, raw office complex, should pay. This is huge, actually. And I hope this will reduce the lift-related mishaps. Key takeaways for facility and operations management teams. Heightened liability for known defects. If there is a known defect, it must be taken care of. If an elevator shows persistent issues or recurring breakdowns, keeping it in service without root cause rectification is treated directly as a legal negligence. Service level agreements and escalation protocol. Maintenance vendors cannot bypass safety risk simply by issuing written recommendations to clients, active compliance, and fail safes. Example, automatic rescue devices, voltage stabilizers are mandatory for operation. This cannot, no more, this can be just nice to do things. It must be enforced. Otherwise, the responsibility falls on the maintenance vendors. Then, emergency rescue training. Operating staff must be formally trained and certified on manual brake releases and emergency procedures to avoid joint liability during rescue operations. In many places, there won't be a lift operator even. You just go, you just get into it and then do it. And in many places, it is the security guy who takes care of the lift itself. Now, this calls for additional focus there. The people must be formally trained and certified on manual brake releases and emergency procedures. I hope these things will help to improve the safety of the lifts operating in India, because now the real estate boom has again started. Uh, New infrastructure is happening, new buildings are coming in, number of lifts are increasing. So this was this was late, but it's better late than never. So thank you very much, and stay updated. If you have not subscribed to our channel, do subscribe. Thank you very much.